The knock at the door was more insistent than typical that night, and Daniel nearly ignored it. Existence had become an endless chain of letdowns recently, and he wasn't prepared for additional grim tidings. A bereaved single parent, he passed his days mending vehicles in a modest workshop, and his evenings fretting over debts piled higher than his boys' play bricks. When he eventually swung the door open, there stood a youthful lady, courteous grin, valise in grip, her gaze blending anxiety and subtle resilience. She presented herself as Emily, explaining she required lodging while attending the local university. Daniel possessed an unused chamber, his departed spouse's painting nook, vacant and gathering grime. He wavered, but the prospect of supplemental rental income and an assisting presence prompted him to yield. He had no inkling that by welcoming her inside, he was entering a narrative that would transform his existence eternally. What he couldn't have foreseen was that this young woman, who appeared so commonplace, harbored a mystery linking her to a realm of inconceivable riches and power, a domain far surpassing anything he had ever encountered. Daniel's routine was steady. Rise early, prepare morning meal for his 8-year-old boy, Noah, deliver him to class, proceed to the shop, return tardily, and devote nights attempting to serve as both parent figures. Emily swiftly integrated into that cadence, aiding Noah with assignments, preparing suppers when Daniel was detained at labor, even mending the creaky pane that Daniel had vowed to fix seasons prior. She appeared down to earth, unlike the pampered affluent offspring Daniel had sporadically observed in the vicinity. She donned simple attire, toted a frayed satchel, and never displayed excess. Yet something in her stare, the manner it seemed wiser than her age, implied she bore more than she disclosed. Daniel, while appreciative, endeavored to maintain separation. He didn't wish to depend on others. He'd already forfeited too greatly. Still, gradually, her benevolence began to erode the barriers he had erected. One dusk, as they gathered at the supper table, chuckling at Noah's goofy mimicry, Daniel found himself grinning in a manner he hadn't in ages. He didn't comprehend why, but he sensed more secure with Emily present amid the hardships. Nevertheless, the challenges persisted. Daniel's property owner hiked the lease, issuing warnings of ouster if dues weren't settled promptly. The repair shop where he toiled was closing, forcing him to hunt for livelihood. He concealed these woes from Noah, but Emily detected the furrows etching deeper on his brow, the way his fingers quivered when he perused another delinquent statement. One twilight, she softly proposed, "Perhaps I might assist." But Daniel rebuffed her curtly. Dignity was his sole remnant, and he refused handouts from a university pupil. Emily inclined her head silently, though her spirit pained. She recognized she could resolve his monetary woes immediately, but disclosing her true identity might alter all between them. She desired Daniel to view her as Emily, the one who discovered sanctuary in his humble abode, who respected his fortitude as a sire, and covertly yearned to alleviate his torment. The crisis arrived on a drizzly midday. Daniel was delayed retrieving Noah due to a career discussion that yielded nothing. By the hour he arrived at the academy, Noah was perched outdoors, trembling, gripping his pack. Emily had arrived sooner, sheltering him beneath her brolly, awaiting steadfastly. Daniel's spirit plummeted. He believed he was botching all, even fatherhood. That eve, as Noah dozed, Daniel slumped at the galley bench, face buried in palms. Emily entered and set a mug of brew before him. For the initial instance, his defenses crumbled. He conceded how arduous it was to persist, how terrified he felt of forfeiting the soul dwelling his child retained. Emily hearkened, her eyes welling with restrained droplets. Then, softly, she uttered, "You needn't face this solitary." Daniel failed to grasp the gravity of her declaration until the ensuing 7 days. A polished ebony sedan glided to the curb before his residence, and a gentleman in a lavish ensemble emerged. Daniel assumed it was the lessor poised to expel them. But when Emily materialized, the fellow inclined his head and hailed her as Miss Williams. Daniel stiffened. Williams, the identical surname as the tycoon who commanded half the metropolis. In that instant, the reality unfurled. Emily was his offspring. The maiden who had resided beneath his eaves, crafting repasts, jesting with his lad, was a successor to a treasury exceeding Daniel's wildest fancies. His initial response was fury. Fury that she had deceived, that she had feigned an alternate persona. But when he regarded her countenance, he beheld no haughtiness, no scheming, merely dread. The dread of forfeiting the sole kin she had selected for herself. Emily admitted she had fled the oppressive existence of opulence and demands. She sought to experience ordinary living, to forge genuine ties, untainted by currency. And in Daniel and Noah, she had uncovered what she perpetually pursued: affection, coziness, and kinship. Daniel grappled. A portion of him yearned to repel her. Overly wary of the sphere she hailed from, overly obstinate to embrace aid. But the other facet, the paternal essence, the fellow who had witnessed his boy brighten at Emily's proximity, couldn't disregard the verity. She wasn't merely a magnet's progeny. She was Emily, the one who had clasped his child's palm on stormy days, who had infused their hearth with mirth anew, who had recalled him that optimism endured. In the conclusion, Daniel opted to trust the connection they had woven. Emily remained, not as a visitor, not as a lodger, but as kin. Through her sway, Daniel secured employment once more, this occasion managing his personal modest workshop with her sire's unobtrusive backing. But more crucially, he discovered something fortune could never procure: confidence, fellowship, and a tomorrow where his boy would mature understanding that even the most unforeseen souls could evolve into family. The tale concluded not with splendor or magnificence. It concluded with 3 individuals assembled at a weathered galley bench, partaking a modest feast, giggling in unison. For at times, the supreme affluence resides not in funds, but in the spirits we unlock our portals to.